Have you ever wondered why so few people are truly wealthy? Despite working hard, saving, following all the financial advice that they've been giving. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on a hidden truth. The system, my friend, isn't designed to make you rich. Instead, it's built to keep you dependent and confused. Now, there's a concept that we call confokulation. Now, confoculation is the foundation or one of the foundations of chapter 1 of the Formula for Riches 2.0, my new book that I wrote. And you'll be able to get this book for free. But I'm going to tell you later on how. So let's dive in. What on earth is confoculation? Confoculation is a term that I've coined. It's a mental state of mind when you do not know that you don't know what you're supposed to know. In other words, it's a term that describes a state of confusion and ignorance, where you do not know what you don't know. And even worse than that, you don't even realize that you're supposed to know that. So this state isn't accidental. It's deliberate, it's intentionally, and it's engineered to keep you reliant on the financial system. Right. So let me read perhaps one paragraph of this book so that you can get the hang of it. The financial system, which I refer to as the cabal, maybe let me interrupt myself quickly. The cabal is a very small group of people or companies that is controlled by a very small group of people that absolutely controls the whole world. Now, you're going to say, to be honest, but this is conspiracy theory and stuff like that. No, it's not. I can prove this. And in the Wealth Creators Road to Riches, in that masterclass, I'm actually showing you where to get this information, how to find this information so that you can validate and verify this yourself. Now, this system, unfortunately, most people think it's a conspiracy and that is not true. But because of that, they are part of this financial system that I'm writing, and I'm only reading like one paragraph. So I'll start again. The financial system, which I refer to as a cabal, thrives on confoculation. It thrives on making sure that you stay unaware, that you remain in the dark about how money really works, so that you rely on them for solutions. Now, what's the solution? The solution is we want to become rich. We want to retire. We want to be financially free. And all the solutions, every single solution that you can think of was engineered by them. Your pension fund, your provident fund, your retirement annuity, unit trust. In America, they call it 401ks. In Australia, they call it superannuation. All of these are controlled by exactly the same group of people. Not only that, they also control the full economy. They control how much money is printed in different countries. And all of that relates to the dollar that is the reserve currency of the world. And these companies have vested rights in that, where they own one another and they own the group. And therefore, I call them the cabal. So perhaps if I can give you a further explanation, I want you to think about it. From a very young age, you were told to study hard, to get a good job, to work very hard and diligently and get the promotions. And then when you've got some surplus, to save diligently, to invest, to contribute to conventional products like a pension fund and a provident fund, also retirement annuities, to save, to use unit trust, to use the banks, to go to the bank for your loan, to pay off your bond over a 20-year or even a 30-year, to take out the insurance. Now, do you know that you've never been taught how to truly grow your wealth? Instead, you are taught and conditioned to hand over your hard-earned money to them so that they can keep you in the rat race. Now, exactly. How does this system keep you trapped? Because if we understand how this works, then we can do something about it. If not, then we're in a state of confoculation, which means we're not going to do it because we think what we do is the only thing and is the right thing to do. And this is why in chapter 1 of the Formula for Riches, there are 3 key tactics that I'm going to reveal to you and that we're going to discuss. Now, part of the reason why I'm doing this YouTube series is simply to add more value to the book. So once you've ordered the book and you start reading the book, I want you to contemplate. I want you to think about it. And for that reason, I want to give you, let's call it backstage information that I'm not revealing necessarily in the book, but there's a reason why there's a sentence or there's a paragraph in that book. And hopefully through this series, I can add immense more value that when you read the book, you'll understand, okay, but this is a reason why I've put it in the book. And this is how this can relate to me and how this can help me in order not to be entrapped by the system anymore. Right. So this is, let's call it, more information regarding the reasons why I've written the book and how this book can benefit you. Now, I've mentioned that there are three ways. The one is through complexity. The other one is misinformation. And the third one is conventional wisdom. So what we're going to do, let's dive into each and every one of these for the session and then see what the outcome is going to be. Right. So first of all, complexity. Now, let me perhaps get a verse in this book. So they deliberately make financial products and services so complex that most people can't understand them. By using jargon, technical terms, complicated contracts, they create a sense of mystery around money management, making you feel that you need their expertise just to navigate it. Now, I'm not sure that you're aware, but I was a certified financial planner like 35 years ago, right? And I can tell you to pass those exams is not necessarily easy. It takes a lot of effort in order to learn these terminologies, to legislation, how it works. But do you know that all of that is just to confuse you? Because the moment that I can make you feel inferior by me using jargon and terminologies and knowledge that you're not aware of, because no one has ever taught this to you, then you're going to think, yeah, but this guy knows his stuff. But do you know that what they've done and what I've discovered in 87, and I'm talking about this in this book, is that they actually, after you take all of what he said in that and you analyze it, I discovered in 87 that actually they are busy teaching me in order to sell their products and only their products. And therefore, those products are accredited and it's ruled by and controlled by professional bodies. And these professional bodies make sure that the people that is giving the advice must be accredited for the products that they are selling, but they are selling products. In other words, during that time, I realized, but if I take all these layers of confusion and take them off, and I get to the basics with this qualification, I still don't know how to manage my risk and how to grow my money, because there's no ways that I can manage my risk because I'm giving my money to them. So through all this layer of confusion, they hide the truth. And that is, the truth is that you will always take 100% risk. They never take risk. Not the advisor, not the financial planner, not the fund manager, not the company, none of them. Through this layer of let's call it jargons. And then there's something else that I want to bring in that I perhaps did not explain that well in the book. And that is our educational system. Now, of course, nothing wrong to be able to read and write and to do basic math. But that's basically what you need. If you really think about it, what do you use? You've spent like 12 years plus through the educational system just to get to matric, to grade 12. But what is it that you really use? I think it's to be able to read, to write, to do calculations. That's it. The rest nowadays you can find anywhere on the on the internet. But why is that system in? And why do we have to go through the system? It's part of their mind control. Because for 12 years you've learned not to query authority. At least in my case, I don't know, maybe I'm too old and maybe they are doing things differently. I'm learning how to regurgitate information that is absolutely 99% of the time, absolutely useless. I've never learned any skill except perhaps how to remember, how to extract that and put it on an exam paper so that I can pass. I've never learned about the higher faculties of the mind, how it works. I've never learned the thinking process. I've never learned about what causes us to do the things that we are doing. I've never learned about the reticular activated system, the delete, the store, generalize, add information that lines up with what we believe, and therefore we can only see that we believe. We can only hear that stuff. We are not open. In other words, we are living in this little bubble thinking that is our truth and our reality, but it's not. You see, on top of that, we are paralyzed by uncertainty because through the educational system, if you do not get things 100% right, you're not going to get a right mark. If you do not collect enough of these right marks, then you're going to fail. Now, if you fail, everyone will think that you are stupid. I failed my matric. I'm one of the best things I've ever done in my life. Of course, at that stage, I wasn't so chuffed up with it, but I knew intrinsically within my gut, I knew that this system was corrupt. And I can tell you how I knew that, because I was making more, let's call it a surplus in my matric year, in my grade 11 and 12 year, than some of my teachers, because they had a lot of debt. I had no debt, and I had all the money that I needed at that stage in my life for what I wanted to do. So this system teaches us not to make mistakes. But do you know that we can only learn through our mistakes? The mistake is there to show us that we haven't got the skill. So the moment that we've got the skill, then we can carry on. But now we are so afraid to make mistakes that we are paralyzed by uncertainty. And this is exactly what they want. And this is the reason why there's so much news around to put us in a state of uncertainty, of doubt. There's different political parties. There's different products. This guy says this is the best. That guy says no. That guy is no nothing. This is the best. You know, when I started off, there were 24 unit trust funds in South Africa. This was way back in 1982. Today, the last time that I checked, in the beginning of this year, there were 1,973 of these funds. 1,900 funds, all doing exactly the same, investing in the top 40 companies in South Africa, more than 80% of their money. So, but we get confused because the guy is going to come to us, this advisor, and say, you've made a mistake. Look here, this fund that you've bought like 5 years ago, it's only 3 or 5% or even negative. You should have invested in this fund over the last 5 years. It would give you 11.75. Let's change. And then they show you projections that if you continue at 11.75% versus, let's say, 6%, what the different outcome is going to be in 10 years, 20 years, and 40 years. But they don't tell you the truth. They don't tell you that by doing that, they are making more money, and this guy is making more money, and that by keeping you in the system, they are milking you dry, because the longer you're going to be in the system, the less you're going to profit. And the more they're going to profit. Again, in the Road to Riches, the Wealth Creators Road to Riches, the masterclass, I'm taking this example in real life, and I'm showing you how the system works. In other words, the whole educational system is part of this cabal system. It's to enslave you not to think for yourself, to believe that the experts know what they are doing. And then they make it for the experts, like financial advisors, as difficult as possible, so that these people sit with the ego at the end of the day. But I am a certified financial planner and you not, and therefore I know more than you. And they do, about the system, but not about making money, not about what the true risk is, because the true risk is you giving your money to someone else. The truth is, money doesn't have to be complicated, right? The moment that we understand that it's actually a very, very simple process. Simplicity is the key to reclaiming control. It's not to make it difficult. I remember when I had to write these exams, it was so complicated that I have spent most of my time to reframe it so that I could understand what I was busy regurgitating and giving back to them. But it was during that process that I discovered, but wait a bit, I'm not learning anything that's benefiting me. I'm learning everything about the law to protect them and to sell their products. I hope that you see why this chapter and why this specific topic is included in the chapter and why it's so important, because this then brings us to the next part, and this is misinformation. Now, let me perhaps read again directly from the book. Have you ever heard this, the higher the risk, the higher the reward, or that it takes money to make money? Now, these are not just cliches. They are myths that have been perpetuated to keep you playing the game by their rules. I hope that you're getting it. In other words, as long as you obey their rules, the only one that is going to make money will be the cabal, the system. These myths makes wealth creation seems like it is out of reach of the average person. But as you're going to learn in this book, true wealth isn't about taking risk. In fact, we as wealth creators do not take any risk. There is no risk if you start a business in the right way, because you don't need to pay any money to start a business. We start businesses with no money, with no security, with no credit, absolutely nothing. So this thing that the bigger the risk, the bigger the amount of money that you can lose is false, but it's true based on them. Because if you're going to start a business the way that the world tells you to start a business, by having a business plan, it's not going to work. Why? You haven't got the skills. So the truth is, it's about the strategy, about the education, about the mindset, and how you're going to start that business and how you're then going to grow that business or investment or in your relationships or with your health. It's not about the way that they think and explain it to you that there's a quick fix solution. I hope that you're getting this. The third one is what I call conventional wisdom. And again, maybe let's quickly read a paragraph or so. Conventional wisdom is one of the cabal's greatest tools. We're all taught that the safest way to build wealth is to invest in retirement funds, buy a house, and save as much as possible. But if this strategy truly works, why aren't more people rich? The answer is simple. The system is designed to benefit the institutions, not you. The moment that you're blindly following these strategies, you are playing a rigged game. This game is against you. It is not for you. And again, I urge you to perhaps do the Wealth Creators Road to Riches, because in that, I'm explaining exactly how the system is rigged against you, so that the average person will not get out of it. And the longer you're going to stay in the system, the more difficult it's going to become for you to get ahead. So the trick here, my friend, is that real wealth comes from breaking away from conventional thinking and taking that control back. But you can't do that by trying to find the solution in the system. Einstein says insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. This is what we're doing. We go to Sanlam, and then we jump to Old Mutual, and then from Mutual to Liberty, and from Liberty to Alan Gray. And from Alan Gray, we take the money out through a nice broker that says South Africa is doomed. And then that same broker, 5-10 years down the line, says, no, he's made a mistake. Bring the money back. You all know the process. You've all seen, if you are 30 to 40 years old, what has happened in your life. Every time that people rock up at your home doing a grand financial analysis with their grand degrees, there's always a damn shortfall. Always. I hope it makes sense. Now, let's move on to another topic that I'm touching on in this chapter, and that is taking responsibility. And that, by the way, is the only way that I see that you can break free. And now I'm relating back from what happened in my life from 84 to 87 when I discovered this. Here's the truth. What I've seen is that it's not your fault that you've been confokulated. Now, why do I say so? You were taught to think this way by a system that thrives on keeping you in the dark. So my parents, they thought that they were doing the best for me by advising me to go to school. I had to go do my matric twice, right? And I've made the biggest mistake because when I passed the second time, I passed with university exemption. In other words, I could go to university. And then my mom said, you are going to be the first person to break this cycle. Because you've got a degree, you'll get a better job. Go and get a degree. And I believed her. But she tried to do the best for me with what she knew. But she was already confokulated. And so were that era. But now we continue to confokulate our children by wanting them to get the best degrees. By the way, I did not force that onto my children because they knew what I'm doing and they could see what I'm doing and see the results. Do you know that we were financially free a long time before my children were done with school? My children always had a problem to explain to their friends, but how does your dad make a living? Because he's always at home. He's always at home. From grade 8 that my eldest child went to the school. I've never had a job. I've never had to work. I was always there. And even my children, if someone asks, but what's your dad doing and your mom doing? They don't know how to answer them. Right. So the system thrives on keeping you in the dark by keeping the truth away from you. But while it's not your fault, because no one has showed this to you up to now, do you know that it becomes your responsibility to break free? Now that you know there's another side of the story, now it becomes your responsibility. You have to make a decision. Are you going to keep on doing stuff that you know is not going to work? Because look around you. How many people do you know that's been in the corporate and been in a job that really became free, that can travel whenever they want, in the style that they want, to stay where they want, to live in the country that they want? How many people are there like that in your family? If that is the case, you are by far the exception. And then you have to capitalize on that. So let me read perhaps another little part here. The moment that you become aware of this, you have a choice to make. You can either continue to follow the same path, hoping that things will change, and this is what most people do, or you can take control and start learning how to play by a different set of rules. This is what I've done in 1987. The process started in 1984, when I discovered that this debt that we're in, that is what's keeping me from moving forward. Although there's immediate gratification, although I can say to people, I've got a brand new house and brand new cars, it were not mine. And that was after I started peeling off these layers and where I understood, but this house actually belongs to the bank. And the interest that I'm paying is not the real interest, because if you look at the first year, when you pay a house and say, for example, you buy it for R1,000,000 and you pay 10,800 Rand, more or less, on 11.75% interest, that more than 10,800 in the beginning is going to go for interest. In other words, you're paying about 98% of your payment is interest. So now we have to take responsibility. And taking responsibility doesn't mean that you have to figure out everything for yourself. You know, if it were not for my first mentors, a couple of mentors that then I could not have figured this out, even as a financial planner, a certified financial planner. But because of these people that opened my mind and said, but check this. Why is this not true? Why is it that I, a normal person that also failed and dropped out at school, could be so successful, and people with MBAs and doctorate degrees can't even do what I'm doing? It's when I could associate with Alan Pease, my first mentor, when he told me that, because that was my history. And when I looked at my situation and I compare myself to the people that is giving me training on how to pass and become a certified financial planner, those days it was ILPA, it was a fellow of the Institute of Life and Pension Advisors. And those people with their LLB, MBA degrees, do you know that even in 87, I've paid more income tax than what their salaries were at that stage? But these are the people that teaches us. But if you want to change, it means that you must be willing to question what you've been taught. And it means that you have to start to educate yourself. Now, find yourself a mentor. This is advice that I got from my first mentor. He said, find a mentor that has achieved that you want to achieve. And then follow the system that he has used in order to do it, because then you've got his skill. And this is why I'm offering this book to you. And best part, I'm offering this book to you for free, because I know that the moment that you click one or two or three of these things, that your life is going to change, because this is what happened to me. But it was because of a mentor that I started querying, because I could see he's top of the table, top 1% of the top 1% in the world. And what he's doing is nothing compared and relating to what they tell me on how to sell products and how to sell their products. It was only when I started stepping back and I started watching the outcome and the results of the people that is giving the training with all their fancy degrees, and they out of touch with the real world, because they've never sold any financial products. And yet they are teaching us how to sell these products. We are living in a crazy world. I see nowadays everyone is a guru on YouTube. Everyone teaches people how to make money like crazy. But when you look at those people, you see it's a bluff. It's not real. And when you look into those people, you'll see how much money it really costs them to keep that pose. So the trick here is to take small but deliberate steps towards reclaiming your financial power. And one of the things that you can do is start with this book. Order this book, and then read this book, and then apply this book. And then when you order this book, I'm going to give you a ton more help in terms of how to really ingrain this in your life. You see, my friend, the financial system wants you to stay confused. They want you to stay in a state of confokulation. But luckily, you have the power to break free. The moment that you understand the concept of confokulation, that is where it starts. The moment that you know that you do not know that you're supposed to know. And hopefully, this is the beginning of that process where it is not true that the higher the risk, the higher the growth. The lower the risk, the higher the growth. That is the truth. This is where and how you make money. This is how we can start a business with no money. In other words, we've got an infinite growth by taking no risk. The same with any investment. I've taken on a challenge, 100 Rand, turn it into a 10 million plus property portfolio in 3 years. You can follow this process on my YouTube channel. If you're in the circle student, you'll know exactly what I've done, how I've applied these principles in my own life. And this is the reason why I'm writing this book. It's to help you to understand that you can take control of your life. So if you're ready to take control of your financial future and you are willing to learn the rules of wealth creation, because it's based, the formula for riches is based on 7 hermetic laws, universal laws, the laws of the multiplication, metaphysical laws. The moment that you understand these laws and you start applying them and you see how it can benefit you, right, that is when I know your life is going to change. So I want you to grab your copy of the Formula for Riches 2.0. My first copy I've written like 20 years ago. First, there were a couple of PDFs. And then in 2007, I think was the first time that I published officially the first Formula for Riches. But since then till now, it's 20 years since I've started with that book. There's so much more value that I can add. So what I've done is to take from the ground level and start building the Formula for Riches 2.0 so that it can help you. So you'll find in the description area, wherever you see this, there's a link. You click on that link, you land on a landing page. On that landing page, I'm going to offer you 10 times more value if you are up to it. But the book is yours. The book is absolutely for free. So in the next video, what I'd like to do is to stay on chapter 1, because we've only touched chapter 1. And then we're going to explore more about the mindset shifts that separates the rich from the poor. This is my way of adding more value to make sure that you get as much value as possible from the book. Make sure to subscribe. Maybe if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. It's only going to benefit you. Follow this playlist where I'm going to give more and more value regarding the Formula for Riches. And then well, if you found value in this, like and share. I will appreciate that. Make sure for now to order the book and start reading, because when I'm giving you the next episode, you can start following and you can start seeing where I'm referring to and reading from. See you in the next one.